Tonight on Bobcat Breakdown, we have a heated debate on tap with a spotlight on Quinnipiac field hockey as the team looks to rise in the Big East. Which players are rising and falling, and how will they fare this weekend? Plus, we'll talk all things volleyball and women's soccer as they begin MAC play. Bobcat Breakdown starts right now. Welcome to another exciting edition of Bobcat Breakdown. I'm your host, Clever Streich. Joining me tonight are QBSN chairwoman Emily Sweeney and Q30 field hockey beat reporter Keith Savage. Who's ready for some debate? I'm ready. I love field hockey. I'm ready to debate it.
Yeah, I'm so excited to get started, so why don't we do that?
Let's start with some field hockey. The Bobcats faced Temple last Friday, but fell 6-3, giving up 6 unanswered goals in the second half. So how did Temple battle back in the game, and why did Quinnipiac's lead collapse? Keith, we'll start with you.
Well, it reminded me, I'm going to go with the baseball connection. 2004 Yankees, they blew a 3-0 lead. You can't be doing that, but it comes down to a young player, Christina Torres. She's only a first year. She's phenomenal. She had two shutouts and some good games against a team like Maine, but she has to be consistent. It's going to come maybe the end of the year, or it could be next year, but on 6 unanswered goals all in the second half, you can't be doing that. But Becca Main always tells her team you have to play in a complete game, and Temple, that did not happen. You have to focus up. That's the big thing here. Becca Main's squad did not do that against Temple.
Yeah, I think what you said could be right. That could be why Temple was able to come back. But I think the biggest issues was the penalties that Quinnipiac gave up in that second half. They were up 3-0, and then they came out of halftime and were frantic. They were rushed in all of what they were doing. They weren't passing. Usually they go wide out to the sides, and they weren't passing up the sideline. They got rushed. They got frantic. And then they ended up going a bit too far with that and letting up too many penalties. Those 6 unanswered goals, 5 of them came from penalty shots. You had 2 penalty stroke goals coming right out of the third quarter. Once they got out of that, they were just confused. They didn't know what to do. They couldn't come back from it. So the Bobcats struggled. Then they had 3 penalty corner goals. There was only 1 goal in that game that Temple scored in game play. So I think the Bobcats' biggest issue was that they let up way too many penalties, giving the opportunities to Temple. If they would have kept it in game play, they would have had a better chance at keeping the lead and maybe even increasing it.
Yeah, good points had by all. So, Emily, you had the chance to break down some of those penalty corners that we were talking about, this time from Quinnipiac's game against UC Davis on Monday. Let's check it out.
Thanks, Clever. I'm here in the studio, and I'm going to analyze 2 of those penalty corners that happened in the UC Davis versus Quinnipiac game. The Bobcats have been struggling with penalty corners at home as they are 1-31 throughout 7 games. So we're going to look at 2 penalty corners here today. We're going to look at one that didn't go so right. Then we're going to look at the lone penalty corner opportunity that ended in a goal for the Bobcats. So we turn to this goal here. Early in the game, you see Eva Veldhorst is on the insert. She's not usually the insert. Tittmeyer had been subbed out, so Veldhorst was going to take it. Her route here was to plan to pass it to Grajales, who is set up to make this stop there on the right side. And as you see here, she's going to insert the ball. The ball's going to go a bit to the side. Grajales has to stand up, and she gets out of her position. Now, the stick for field hockey needs to be on the turf and down in order to connect with the ball, especially to stop it at full speed. So Grajales has to stand up here. You see her body is not down on the turf. She's going to struggle with getting this insert. And as you continue to see the ball roll, it tips off her stick and goes out of play, and it goes out of the offensive zone for the Bobcats. And you're going to see here UC Davis takes the ball, and they go into their offensive opportunities on the other side. It was a bit of a struggle for the Bobcats in that corner just to make the connection because the pass was off. So they struggled with that a lot throughout the game. It happened multiple times in multiple penalty corners. Now we're going to move to the one lone penalty corner that ended in a success for the Bobcats, the 1 goal out of 15 opportunities in this UC Davis versus Quinnipiac matchup. You see Stella Tittmeyer is on the insert once again. She's lined up, and her plan here is to pass it straight across to Veldhorst on that one spot. You're going to see her pass the ball here as she's ready for the insert. And you look at Veldhorst, Amelia Massarelli comes through the center, she tips the ball, then Tittmeyer tips it into the net. So now we're going to look at this a bit more slowly to analyze what is really going on in this play. So you see Tittmeyer on the insert. She's going to pass it to Eva Veldhorst in the 1 spot. Now for this play, you see Amelia Mazzarelli is running to the center. She's going to do a cut through center route, so she's going right through the center. But the DPC unit for UC Davis sent out 3 of their players straight to Mazzarelli, as she was the highest targeted player in that game on penalty corners. So Eva Veldhorst has the ball. She's still going to send it to the center, as you're going to see here. It goes to the path of Amelia Mazzarelli, but gets tipped by an Aggie. Then Mazzarelli is going to follow the ball. She needs to get it out of the air to avoid a penalty call, so she bats it down. And she's going to see Tittmeyer on the post, bat it down to her. Tittmeyer follows the ball, hits it off the bounce, and gets the goal. That was a great eye by Mazzarelli and Tittmeyer to let the ball get out of the air and then bounce before Tittmeyer took the shot. And that is going to be the one lone penalty corner success for the Bobcats at home so far this season. The Bobcats went on to win this game 3-2, and they will move on to play next week. Now that was my analysis of the penalty corners in the UC Davis Quinnipiac matchup. Now we're going to send it back to Clever at the desk.
Thank you very much for that, Emily. So, Keith, what did you think of her analysis?
I agree with it. That you have to get the penalty corners. You have 15. You score once. They luckily won the game 3-2, but they should have killed UC Davis. It's been an issue going back to last season. All the time. You can't be doing that. You have to win those games. You have to score at least a few times.
Yeah, 1 for 31 in home penalty corners. But now let's turn our attention to this Friday. The field hockey team has a date with number 14 Old Dominion at home. Quinnipiac previously defeated a ranked opponent this year by shutting out Maine. Can they repeat this success against the Monarchs? Emily, you can start us off.
Listen, I'm going to say they can. Quinnipiac is a team where they play to the level of their opponent. We saw against UC Davis, they were not playing their best. That was not even close to the best they can play. So I think going up against somebody who is number 14 will give them that chip on their shoulder, and they're used to being the underdogs. That's where they're comfortable. That is where they thrive. So I think you're going to see them come up and play to the level of Old Dominion in that matchup. But I also do think that they'll win with the stipulation that they convert penalty corners. They have to convert their penalty corners. They need to convert at least 2. Coach Becca Main has talked multiple times to us about if they don't convert 2 penalty corners in a game, they should not be winning, and they will not win. So I will say that I think they are going to win this game. I think they can win this game, but they need to at least convert 2 penalty corners, and right now they're 1-31 in at-home penalty corners, so it's going to be a difficult task, and they need to get over those home penalty corner blues in order to get the win.
Yeah, I agree with that. Penalty corners, you have to convert, but it comes down to Christina Torres. That's who it comes down to. In the Maine game, shutout. The offense was not that good against Maine. Only 1 goal coming from Amelia Mazzarelli, but Christina Torres, that's who it has to come down to. She has another stellar game. It could happen. But if she has a game like she did at the second half of Temple, they're not going to win this game. It's not even going to be close. Old Dominion has been a great team in the Big East for years. But this is the big thing. All comes down to Christina Torres. The offense, a goal or 2. Christina Torres can give up a shutout or maybe only give up 1 goal. This win is going to be huge. It's going to happen? I'm not sure. I don't think it's going to happen. But it's going to be interesting to watch, and I'm looking forward to how this game is. But
yeah, but I don't think you can put all that pressure on Christina Torres. I mean, we talked about in that Temple game, 5 of 6 of those goals were all because the defensive penalty corner unit of Quinnipiac was not helping Torres. 3 of them in those penalty corners, it was a huge struggle. It was not Torres' fault. Yeah, she is that back line. Yes, she's talented. She's also a first year. You have a back line there in Amanda Funaro, who is a graduate student. She's been here for years. She needs to step up, communicate with the DPC unit, and they need to help Torres. You can't just put it all on a first-year goalie who does not have the experience yet. So I think in order to win the game, yes, Torres has to play a bit better, but she also has to be able to rely on her defensive unit there.
Well, the only thing that these two seem to agree on is that it's going to come out to the defensive side of the ball. Finally, let's do another F-Hawk stock report. I gave my choices on the second episode of the Penalty Corner this weekend, but I want to hear from you guys. In your opinion, whose stock is trending up or down through 7 games played? Keith, you can go first.
I think it's pretty obvious answers from both. Still, Tittmeyer has been phenomenal to start the year. 4 goals. She had none in her entire collegiate career as a senior. She's always been a person who could get open, get through the defense, but finally she is scoring. It's coming at an impressive rate, and she's the leader of this team right now.
Yes.
But it is clear who is not looking great. And it's Amelia Mazzarelli, the star of the team last year, is not the side team this year. With 1 goal on 11 shots on goals, you have to convert. Teams are starting to triple team her. Again, they know, they watch the film, but Mazzarelli has to perform better and score, and has to feed her teammates.
Yeah, I actually agree. I picked the same 2 players. As you said, Tittmeyer's a junior transfer student, and she has had 0 goals in her first season here with the Bobcats. And this season, in 7 games, she's already had 4. You see the growth in her. But I don't even think it's her goals that makes her my rising player. It's the facilitation she has for the team. You look at Stella Tittmeyer, and she uses her height, she uses her speed, she uses her control of the ball and her dribbling to expand upon her entire team's talent. She's able to get that ball down the field. She's able to get it to her players. And in a lot of scenarios, she breaks through the entire field, gets the ball down into their offensive zone, and passes it off. That's where I think she's shining, because she is one of the best players in ball handling. Coach Becca Main has said it. Her teammates have said it. They know they can rely on her. So she is a rising player. Emilia Mazzarelli, 10 goals last season. 1 this season in 7 games. She's obviously going down. And in that last game against UC Davis on Monday, she really struggled. She had so many shots in that game. She shot wide, high, to the side. She hit the crossbar and the post. So she needs to rein in those shots if she wants to get better, but she definitely is the falling player on that team.
That post shot did result in a goal, however. So we have to step out for our first commercial break. When we return, the Bobcats beginning MAC play in volleyball and women's soccer. We break it all down right after this. Stay with us.
I know what you're thinking. I need a job.
I need a new career.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
I've been there. I wasn't happy with what I was doing.
After high school, I didn't have a plan.
I just wanted to start working.
I got laid off twice, but you gotta keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a 2-year IT program.
I found a medical course online.
I'm now a consultant in the tech space.
You have more options than you think. You can do this.
You will find something.
You will find something new.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a unique mix of all kinds of things.
Come on, Drew, spot me on this last one. There it is.
Keep going with it. Leo! They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made home ownership happen. Homeschooling yourself on loans, beefing up your credit score.
So I'm pre-approved.
You were like, yes! Sorry. Color-coding listings, ticking boxes, and flushing every toilet in a 20-mile radius. Home sweet home. You aced house hunting. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Congratulations on making it through the commercial break. We're back on Bobcat Breakdown. It has been the long and winding road trip for the Quinnipiac volleyball team, who have struggled with a 1-8 start to their campaign without playing a single home game. So, Emily, how has being away all season affected the Bobcats' performance to this point?
Yeah, so Clever, I actually did some math. The Bobcats have traveled 3,054 miles in their away games so far, 56 hours, without traffic, without going back and forth from the hotel. Wow. I think you look at that, that is a lot of time, a lot of miles to be on the road. That is clearly going to affect the bodies of athletes and their mindsets as well. You're driving that far for that long, it's going to affect the way you play, and it's going to affect their decisions in the games as well because of being overtired and because of all of the travel. And in away games last season, they had 6 wins and 15 losses. They averaged losing away. While they're home, they were 500 in home matches. They were 4-4 at home, so it's not too much better, but it definitely is better. And I think you have 6 first years, 5 of 6 of them being international players. They haven't gotten to experience a home match yet. They're not even from America, and they haven't experienced what it feels like to be home, have your friends, your family, your school supporting them. So I think it really does affect their performance. They don't have their fans. They're tired from all of the travel, and overall, it just hurts them to have to do that consistently until the beginning of October.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I'm going to go with the first year part of it. There's a lot of young people on this team, and international, you got to learn. They need that second home. Right now, they haven't been able to transition to the second home at Hamden. At some point, they're going to. At the end of the years, they might get around, but going back at home, they're always finished around 500. They're a solid home team. It's just away. And starting in away, it's not going to be good. Again, these international players need to communicate and get this second home, but right now, they don't have that at all, and that's going to be a huge issue maybe for their whole year.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, the fact that they don't even have their first home game till a Wednesday night in October, their season had started weeks ago, and it's a Wednesday night in the middle of the week. It's rough for them to not be home, so I think you definitely have to get the Bobcats home if you want them to have a better season.
So continuing on that point, another key issue with the volleyball team's struggles could come down to on-the-court communication. Keith, with a talented roster like this, how can Quinnipiac get on the same page to resolve this issue?
They have to communicate. We just said that, but I'm going to go bold. This year is not going to be good for the rest of the year. I don't think it's going to be good, but this is a young unit. Again, a lot of them are international, so they have to be together. That's the big thing. A lot of people, different languages, maybe just learning English, and you have to communicate. You've seen this in other sports, but right now, it is tough for the volleyball team. You need the leaders to step up. Cole Legg, Lexi Morris, they have to be the leaders. If that doesn't happen, who knows how this team turns out? And this could affect future years. I like getting the people internationally, but you have to communicate. They can't close out games right now. They're talented, but they haven't been able to close out these tough matchups.
Yeah, I completely agree with 5 of those 6 first years being international and speaking different languages, playing different styles of volleyball before they even get here. It's going to be hard to mesh them all together, especially when you're not home. A lot of your time where you could be practicing is traveling, which we just talked about. But you have athletes from Italy, Hawaii, Turkey, Brazil, and of course some from America, but they're all over the globe. You have to be able to have the time to teach them to communicate with each other in a language that everybody will understand. And that leads to weak plays, it leads to completely missed passes, and I think it's just a struggle that the team is going to have to deal with. But as for what they can do to fix that, there's not really much they can do. They just need to practice the in-game communication, and the only way to effectively do that is practice it in games and matches with other teams. They can practice against themselves, but it's not really helping their communication against opponents. So I think you're going to have them continue playing and working through it, even though that's not the best answer. You don't want to have to fix that way. You want to win, but you have to get through games in order to get them to speak the same language.
I agree.
Allow us to step into the breakdown time machine for a second. Let's flash back to last week's show where Santino Maione and Joey O'Donohue had some bold predictions for Quinnipiac versus Niagara in women's soccer.
Now this weekend, the women's team will play Niagara here in Hamden, while it is also being the alumni game, parents' weekend, as well as the start of MAC play. Are the Bobcats going to be able to pull off the win versus one of the top teams in the MAC right now?
Yeah, I genuinely do think they will pull off the win. I mean, you're coming into this game, alumni weekend. You're at home. You have the energy of the fans. It's the first game in MAC play, in the MAC conference. I think they come out and make a massive statement against Niagara and let not just Niagara, but all of the teams around the MAC know we are here to make a statement. We're here to win the entire thing this year. This is going to be the start of their eventual journey to what I believe will be an eventual MAC championship this year.
So, Emily, in retrospect, what did you think of that take?
Santino knew what he was talking about. He knew that team was going to win. I don't know if I would have put that bold of a prediction out there for that game, but he chose to do that, and props to him because he got that one right.
Okay, so as we've been discussing, last Saturday the women's soccer team took down a huge MAC opponent in the Purple Eagles. So, Emily, what kind of statement does this victory make to the rest of the MAC conference?
I don't think it makes a statement at all, actually, Clever. I mean, look at this team. Yes, the score was 4-0. I get that. It looks like a statement. It seems like a statement, but fake diamonds can look like real diamonds too, but they're not on the inside. They have no value. They have no worth. And that's kind of how I feel like this game was. There was no substance to the game. They had that they didn't have that value.
Fool's gold.
Yeah, exactly. Fool's gold. I mean, without that red card taken by Niagara's Emma Davies, the game would not have gotten so out of hand, and it would not have been in the Bobcats' favor. It would have looked much closer to the scoreless first half of that game. And with that, I think the game would have ended in a 1-0 score with the penalty kick goal by Courtney Chokol being the only goal of the game, because without that red card and everything that ensued after it, I don't think they would have won. It would have been a much different game. So fool's gold is definitely the way I describe it.
I think it's been clear for a while now that this team is winning the MAC. I'm going that far. You can save this. They're going to win the MAC. Monmouth is gone. They're nowhere to be found. They're out of this conference. Rebecca Cook, she's dominant. She's averaging over a goal a game. Nobody's going to stop her. Courtney Chokol is a great second option, and she can feed her team. But nobody, absolutely no team in the MAC, when it comes to win or go home, is going to defeat Quinnipiac. This team is elite, and I trust this program. I trust what the team has built, because last year was different. You lose to Monmouth, but again, Monmouth is gone. This team is good. Rebecca Cook, unstoppable. That's the only name you really know. Rebecca Cook, she's amazing.
Speaking of Rebecca Cook, junior forward / midfielder Rebecca Cook had some comments following the Purple Eagles game about the game being a little chippy. Let's take a listen.
In the first half, we kind of went down to the level of getting into the kind of nitty-gritty with them and fighting with them when we know we're the better team, so we need to just stick to it and play. We kind of went off our principles in the first half. We went in at halftime, and Dave and Stevie just told us to stick to what they always tell us to, take players on the outside and just keep the ball and play our game. And I think then that happened in the second half, and it helped us get the win.
So Keith, with 11 yellow cards assessed in the game, how are Quinnipiac able to focus on their game plan rather than Niagara's?
They stayed calm. That's the big thing. This team is able to calm down in this physical, chippy game. But when you have leaders like their goalkeeper, Megan Phillips was amazing, not giving up a single goal. That's the big thing. The refs were amazing. They're going back and forth, which changed the momentum of this entire game. But the Bobcats knew they were a much better team than the Purple Eagles. It wasn't even close in my opinion. And they showed it. They said, we're not going to get any red cards. And it showed this team is talented, and it should have been even more of a blowout.
I could not disagree with you more, actually. I don't think they stuck to their game plan at all. I don't think they played their game. I think they got trapped. They fell into that fouling black hole that was forced upon them. They ended up having 7 yellow cards themselves. That is not the play style of Quinnipiac. It's never been their play style. They usually pass to the wide outsides. It's not what they do to foul all the time. 7 yellow cards in that one game. They couldn't focus on their game. You talked about Rebecca Cook earlier. She got shut down and frustrated throughout that entire game as well. So I think Niagara just got in Quinnipiac's head, and simply they were able to go one-on-one with players, best players like Rebecca Cook, and psychologically hurt their focus and their gameplay. So overall, I really don't think Quinnipiac was able to focus on their game at all throughout that matchup.
Fantastic debate, guys. We have one more break ahead of us. When we return, the QBSN Game of the Week and our final roars. See you in a bit.
Meet the scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you.
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
I think it's just vapor with flavor.
It won't hurt my kid like cigarettes, right?
Vaping is safer than smoking, isn't it?
There's really not even that much nicotine in them, right?
My kid?
My kid knows it's dangerous.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping, maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
Honey, what I think you need is a socket wrench.
I played JV basketball.
I'm sorry. I don't think it looks right.
This is good, and it's all good, baby.
Is it really all good?
If you love me enough to routinely test your handyman skills, not to mention the strength of your marriage, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/therightseat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
I'm gonna call my dad.
Thank you for sticking with us on Bobcat Breakdown. It's time for our QBSN Game of the Week. The QBSN Game of the Week is women's soccer versus Niagara. Like we just discussed before the break, Quinnipiac took down the Purple Eagles in the Saturday MAC conference meeting 4-0. Quinnipiac's 4 goals in the game came in the second half of play. Courtney Chokel struck first on a penalty kick, followed by goals from Ella Gagno, Rebecca Cook, and a second tally from Chokel. The Bobcats also celebrated Senior Day with a special ceremony for the 14 departing members of the team. Next, the team will head to Buffalo on Saturday to face the Canisius Golden Griffins. As the old saying goes, the best part of Tuesday nights are final roars. I don't actually think that's a saying, but regardless, let's kick it off with Keith Savage.
So let's get right into it. The winter sports season is coming soon, and Trisha Fabry's team is ready for a huge run. This is the last year of the dynamic duo of Mackenzie DeWeese and Michaela Morris. They have to be the leaders of this group to win the MAC for the first time since 2019. But I am a believer in this team. DeWeese was a 2021 MAC Player of the Year for a reason. She's one of the most entertaining athletes to watch at Quinnipiac. She's not the tallest at 5'9", but can do everything on the court. She's a toughness and skill that you want from your best player. I love the addition of the 6'3" transfer Mary Bakerville. She was the 2019 Big East Rookie of the Year and is now playing for Quinnipiac for her graduate season. Morris has never had an amazing backup, and now she finally does. This team is not only going to win the MAC, the Bobcats going to win a March Madness game. This is the last run for a while for the Quinnipiac women's basketball team, and it's going to be a fun unit to watch, and I highly recommend going to the games.
Tonight we have had a full show where we talked about only women's sports. So that is what my final roar will be about. At many colleges, women's sports are not seen as interesting or as important as the men's sports. At Quinnipiac, ice hockey is arguably the most popular sport, and according to GoBobcats.com records from last year's attendance, at men's games it hovered around 3,000 attendees per game, while the women's ice hockey attendance rates averaged to be around 300. And it is not only with hockey that these discrepancies amongst attendance occur, this is with all sports at QU. Maybe the men's sports are more aggressive and therefore more interesting and engaging for the fans. However, women's teams deserve the same treatment as the men's teams because they are just as good, if not better. Last year, women's tennis won their 6th MAC title, golf placed first in the MAC, women's cross country placed 3rd in the MAC tournament, and went to the NCAA Regional Championships. Acrobatics and tumbling went to the NCATA semifinals. Women's hockey, women's basketball, and volleyball all made it to the semifinals in their respective tournaments, and women's soccer went to the finals in the MAC. These women's teams are talented and successful, yet they don't get the recognition they deserve from the university and from the students who attend this school. So I encourage you all to go out to more games and support the women's athletics. These are teams that have had to work extremely hard for what they have, and they need to see more people coming out and supporting them, especially when they are playing at home. Not only will it help the team morale, but it will also help make Quinnipiac sports represent equality in support of all of their 21 Division I sports teams.
It can be hard to replicate history, especially with the Quinnipiac women's ice hockey team being ranked 8th nationally in the preseason USCHO poll and 4th in the ECAC hockey preseason poll. Last year, I labeled the 2021-2022 campaign as the all-in season, adding Corrine Schroeder in net and being 1 goal away from a Frozen Four appearance. Almost beating the eventual champions, Ohio State, could be seen as the peak for this team. In my opinion, the Bobcats still have the potential to reach that peak again and surpass all the way to the summit. In net, graduate Logan Anders, a veteran goaltender who's played on the same level as Schroeder last year. Returning key pieces like Lexia Gia, Olivia Mobley, Sadie Peart are going to head up the offensive side of the puck. Newcomers like Madison Chandler Gianna McIntyre and Tatum Blacker will bring energy to the team, helping build for both the present and the future of the program. If there is one thing that I've learned in 3 years of covering Cass Turner's squad, is that you should never count them out as contenders before they hit the ice. History can repeat itself on September 23rd, when the Bobcats take on the Maine Black Bears to kick off the regular season. That will wrap up another fantastic edition of Bobcat Breakdown. Thank you to the producers and everyone behind the scenes. Check out our websites at theqbsn.com and q30tv.com for more content. Follow us on Twitter at QBSN and Q30Sports. And also check out the Q30 app, now available for download. For Emily Sweeney and Keith Savage,